fuck these bitches. I swear I care about everything but these bitches.
I've never been very good at sports. I once threw a javelin in PE and managed to smack myself in the face with the other end of it.
That's your neck. See, we're already learning.
So, yeah. I was pretty much the stereotypical chubby, nerdy kid who was far happier reading or drawing or playing Spyro the Dragon than I was being forced to run around and get yelled at while people threw things at my face.
Really? I never would have guessed that by looking at your arms.
So arguably, my complete lack of interest in sport has far more to do with it being a form of ritualistic high school bullying than it does to do with me being a woman. But you don't actually need to know very much about sport to see that it's riddled with sexism. Yay!
Wow, a feminist finds sexism somewhere. You know what would be a bigger challenge for you? Finding something that's not sexist. Can you do that?
And the tennis at Wimbledon, where Andy Murray was almost the first Brit to win since 1936. You know, apart from Virginia Wade, who doesn't count because she's a woman.
Wow, so you can use the Google. I know you had to Google this because A, it happened before you were born. B, almost nobody cares about fucking tennis. C, a lot less than almost nobody cares about women's tennis.
And as a Londoner, how could I possibly forget the fast approaching 2012 Summer Olympics and Paralympics?
Excuse me, para what?
Yay! Did you know Sega have released a video game to go along with the London 2012 Olympics as well?
Yes, because if you ever played one of those games, you'd see how little it cost them to make.
They don't cover all of the games, because it's quite big, but here's what they do cover.
So somebody makes a console game, a medium where the majority of consumers are male, in the genre of sports gaming, almost exclusively male. You gotta tell me they decide to feature men? So either Sega is really sexist, or they've taken marketing 101. I can't figure out which one it is.
And I just assume that the Paralympic video game is going to come out separately later in the year? Yeah?
Yes, because that's every sports gamer's fantasy. They want to sit there and push a wheelchair as fast as they possibly can.
No? So, lots and lots of lovely sports. Lots of mostly male sports. Which is not actually all that surprising when you consider that only 5% of sports media coverage is of women's sport.
Well, that's surprising because only about 1% of women's sports are actually watchable. I'm a sports fan, I know.
And that's actually pretty good, given that only 0.5% of sponsorship money goes towards women's sport.
Hello? ROI? Google it.
Men's sport gets 62.1% of sponsorship money, by the way, with the rest going towards team sports. So there's no money in women's sports and barely any recognition.
And no entertainment.
Because we all know sport's a boys' thing.
No, what we do know is men are generally stronger than women. We know another thing, that stronger people generally make better athletes.
So when a woman's interested in sport, it must mean that she's a tomboy or just, one of the guys or just a big old lesbian.
Well, maybe you should get girls to stop saying that about other girls.
At least that's the assumption, leaving women who do pursue sport as a career or as a hobby under increasing pressure to demonstrate their femininity, and discouraging women from taking an interest in sport in the first place.
Let me know when you're done making shit up. I got shit to do.
Which finally leads me on to the aspect of women's sport which makes me the most angry. You may remember 4 years ago when Olympic athlete Caster Semenya won gold at the 800 metres and was subsequently publicly humiliated by having her gender questioned.
Why would that ever happen?
Because she was too good to be a female athlete, apparently.
Looks to me like she was too male to be a female athlete.
And so must have some kind of secret male advantage.
It's not a secret. I covered this earlier. Muscles. Now, don't cry. It's tough for all feminists at first, but eventually you will get a basic grasp of biology.
So now Caster and other female athletes like her are only allowed allowed to compete if they submit to either invasive surgery or drug treatment to lower their testosterone levels to what's deemed acceptable female levels.
Oh, so they test females for the appropriate level of testosterone, just like they test male athletes for the appropriate level of testosterone because of PEDs. Your vagina, the whole world.
That's the official policy of the International Association of Athletics Federations.
Wake up, you!
There is so much to unpack in this last point that it really needs an entire video in itself. We have this idea that sex and gender fit into these neat little boxes. So you're either male or you're female, and there's a hard line between the two. And that just isn't true.
Well, that might not be true in the real world. It's definitely true in sports. Sports is all about lines. They keep the games fair. What you might know, had you ever played a sport or even watched a sport. I'm going to suggest you play a sport. Maybe, I don't know, marathon running?
Castor, as it turns out, is biologically intersex.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Why have you been calling her a woman this time? I mean, you would have been as equally right if you had called it a man. Never mind, I get it. You wouldn't have anything to cry about if your argument was men should be allowed to compete against women athletically.
As are a whole bunch of other people in the world. Not that it's anyone's damn business.
It is when you're playing a sport. Hello, lines?
And that doesn't fit into our little male, female, boxed up worldview. So we expect her and others like her to change to make things simpler.
Fairer.
But there's even more to this because this is only happening to female athletes. If a man had low testosterone levels, whether that put him at a disadvantage or not, we wouldn't care.
Of course we wouldn't care because we would never heard about him because he would never be a top athlete.
But we've decided that women are an inferior class when it comes to sporting ability.
We haven't decided anything. That was nature's choice. Take it up with her. Or him.
So there's a threshold as to how good you can be before people start to question whether you're actually a woman anymore.
Alright, listen. It was not because she was too good. She never held the world record. It was because she looked like a man.
If a basketball player is naturally taller than all the other players, that's fine. Or if a runner has inherited twitch muscles, which means they can run faster than anyone else, also fine. But there's a line between the genders in sport.
Okay, you're just not getting it. I'm going to have to fail you. You can come back next year.
We're expecting female athletes, other human beings, to have unnecessary surgery that lowers their athletic ability.
No, we're expecting hermaphrodites to get surgery. I'd much rather just have them compete against men so we never have to hear about this again.
Because their biology doesn't fit with our faulty definitions.
Okay, ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the class now.
That is just all manner of fucked up.
Young lady, you were asked to leave the class and now you're cussing at me. Do I need to have the school officer come down?
And in addition to signing the petition, you can also help the campaign by tweeting, "I demand a better deal for women in sport" with the hashtag #FairGame.
If you want more women in sports, pay more attention or shut the fuck up. Sparky fists are out.
So yeah, I still don't really care about sport.
Okay, guess that's not going to happen. I'm out for real this time.